It's a lovely good morning to you, our dear viewers. Welcome to the breakfast show on Camnet TV, not just another channel. I'm your host, Patrick Soko. I'll be joined by my colleague Sharon Kalimbola later on. We have interesting segments as usual on the breakfast today, but before we unpack everything, we are going to start with our morning exercise we call Morning Boost with Isaac Machisa. Stay tuned.
Good morning. Welcome. I started with a warm-up before I stepped in here. And let's do it now. 5 minutes workout. Make sure that your partner joins in, your children that comes in. And let's do something today now. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to start with the hands now. Shoulder press. Let's go. I'm going to do 40. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many? 30. 1, 2, 3. Go. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. Great workout. I'm already feeling this. So let's go. I'm dealing with the hands. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Next 10, I'm going to bring the hands to the front now. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, so we've done 60 for the hands. Let's go now. Remember last time I was here, we were running, we were jumping. So today we're going to do it differently now. Here we go. There you go. Stay at that. Just stretch your legs. Good for you in the morning. Let's go. Stretch. There you go. There you go. Let's go. Let's go. Stay at it. Keep doing it. You feel like your legs are becoming heavy? It's part of the workout. Let's go. Awesome stuff. You're doing well. Keep pushing. Don't lean on anything unless you can't really stand the intensity of the workout. Let's go. Keep going. Keep going. There you go. All right. Awesome stuff. Okay, I'm going to give you something now. Remember, you need to do this every morning before you leave. Okay. Basic push-ups. That's what you're going to do now. Lock your legs, kneel down, and come down here. Let's go. 1. 10. Let's go. 20. I'm going to give you a 5-second break, but it's within my time. Take a break. You can do 5 minutes, seconds. You can do 10. So 20 more. We do 40. Let's go, Team Camnet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. Then you take your 10-second break, but I'm not going to take that long break. Okay, last 10. Then I've given you 40 push-ups. Anybody can do this, you kneel. Let's go, last 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great stuff. All right. Thank you so much. And that's it for today. I'm going to see you again next time at the same time. Make sure that you do this every morning before you go for your duties. Thank you. I sign out. Machisa Isaac is my name.
There you have it. Thank you, Isaac Machisa there. He never disappoints in terms of giving us that workout every morning. You can do that at your free time as well. You don't have to wait for the Camnet breakfast to do that. You can actually follow the breakfast on our Facebook page as well to be able to get ablaze with what some of his drills and make yourself comfortable at your opportune time to be able to undertake that workout. It is important that we keep fit, especially that we are talking about the time when we're having the COVID-19 pandemic, and it's a time we need to make sure that our bodies are physically fit so that we can be able to strengthen our immune systems. And we have to also be cognizant with the fact that we have non-communicable diseases such as heart diseases that are really affecting us, diabetes. And if we are going to be exercising, it plays a vital role towards us achieving good or quality health, and which is important for national productivity and personal productivity as well. So just let's be sure that we get to do those workouts. And that brings me to another interesting segment we call Health Corner, where we get to understand various issues pertaining to health with the help of doctors from the Medical Women Association of Zambia. And this time around, we have Dr. Simpungwe giving us a health tip. Stay tuned.
Good morning, viewers. This is your doctor, Dr. Kakung Simpungwe, Assistant Director, Adolescent Health, based at the Ministry of Health. I'm coming from Medical Women Association of Zambia. Yesterday, we talked about health problems affecting young people, and we discussed issues of HIV, teenage pregnancy, mental health, gender-based violence, alcohol and substance abuse, and we also discussed that young people with disabilities and those living on the street are also affected by these health problems. So today we'll continue our series, and we are going to talk about factors contributing to health problems among young people. So we talked about the different diseases yesterday. Today we just want to look at what are the contributing factors, what is out there, what is making young people become victims to these diseases. So one of the things that we established, having discussed with young people themselves, and also what literature says, also based on what health workers have observed, is that the first problem we've noticed is that young people lack adequate information on health issues. If we consider the findings of the Zambia Demographic and Health Survey, we note with concern that comprehensive knowledge, information about what HIV is, how it is prevented, how it is acquired, is very limited among young people. Only 1 in 2 young people can explain correctly what HIV is and how it is prevented, how it is caused. So the gap in health knowledge for us has been noted as one of the contributing factors why young people are faced with health problems, because lack of knowledge will lead to risky behavior. Because if you have adequate health knowledge, you make informed decisions. You know what is risky behavior and how you can protect yourself. So the first gap problem we've noticed is lack of information on health issues. The other aspect that we have also noted that contributes to young people having health problems is their inability, lack of skills to resist the negative peer pressure. Remember in our the first series, we talked about how peer pressure is important to young people. If they find themselves in a group of young people who engage in illicit behaviors, illicit activities, they may not have the skill and the ability to resist peer pressure, so they will fall prey to engaging in risky health behaviors such as unprotected sex, alcohol abuse, and drug abuse, which predisposes them to engaging in behaviors that compromise their health. Then the other aspect is the role of parents. We've noticed again that parents are not present. Most of the parents are busy doing their work, going about their business, and there's that disconnect, the break in communication between adolescents and parents. They don't have time to explain to them what they are going through as people going through puberty, what are some of the risks out there in the world. So parents are not playing their part in terms of educating young people on health problems. What are some of the risk behaviors that exist which young people should avoid so that they remain in good health? Then we also have within the community, so we've looked at the individual adolescent who is not knowledgeable, who doesn't have skills to resist peer pressure. We've also looked at the parents who are not actively involved in educating their children on health issues. Then if we move out of the home, we go into the community, we notice that there are a lot of unprotective factors that contribute to poor health outcomes among adolescents. Take for instance, it's very easy for young people to access alcohol, to buy tobacco, to buy some of the substances they abuse, and that environment is not very protective. It promotes drug and substance abuse. Then we also look at availability or non-availability of recreational facilities. Young people have shared to say, sometimes we don't have spaces to keep ourselves busy, so we don't have anything to do, so we just end up engaging in these activities because we don't have like sports facilities where they can really spend their time with their friends conducting productive activities. Then in religious setting, there are adolescents who also mention that they would want to have also opportunities to learn more about health issues beyond what they learn at church about spiritual matters. They also want that message to be complemented by health information. So these are the factors, some of the factors that we have identified that contribute to health problems among adolescents. So remember, we talked about individual factors which involve the literacy levels, the knowledge levels, health knowledge levels among adolescents themselves, their inability to resist peer pressure, and the parents not playing an active role in imparting skills and self-confidence in their children, and of course the environment, sometimes the inability for young people to have sporting activities, because there are no recreation facilities in their communities, as well as easy access to alcohol. The last one which I can add is harmful traditional practices, which include child marriage, which leads to teenage pregnancy, as we earlier on mentioned. So these are some of the factors that contribute to poor health outcomes or to health problems among adolescents. Thank you so much for listening in, and tomorrow we continue with another topic. Continue watching Camnet TV. This is your doctor, Dr. Kakonsi. Bye for now.
Welcome back. There you have it. An interesting segment as usual on Camnet Breakfast Health Corner, where we bring you details pertaining to various ailments. And this time around, we're talking about an important subject with Dr. Simpungwe, who helped us understand some of the factors contributing to health problems among adolescents. And these are some of the issues that I noted, as the doc explained there, include lack of knowledge amongst adolescents pertaining to various diseases such as HIV, so they don't know how to safeguard their plight. We also have seen that parents are also not playing their role in terms of ensuring that they equip their children or protect their children from vices. We also saw the aspect of a lot of young people are having easy access to things that are not giving them protection, such as going into bars, accessing alcohol and tobacco, among other substances that are not good for their well-being. Well, just now I've been joined by my co-host Sharon, and welcome, madam.
Thank you so much, Patrick.
I won't say that you were running late because of traffic or something, but I'll just say welcome. And
I'm in shock.
Yeah, I know, and that's everyone else who delays. Everyone else who delays, they always have to attribute something to something.
They actually
and
have
I
to
thought
be
you have to
shocked.
say traffic,
But anyways, I'm not attributing anything to anything. However,
yeah.
I'm here, and we'll pick it up from the doctors. Patrick, very interesting and elaborate a topic today that we had. So just now we got straight into the money markets. Our segment that looks at financials. Say the United States dollars is buying at 17 kwacha 84 ngwe and selling at 18 kwacha 19 ngwe. The South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 23 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 25 ngwe. The euro is buying at 18 kwacha 89 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 26 ngwe. And the Great British pound is buying at 23 kwacha 44 ngwe and selling at 23 kwacha 19 ngwe. Those are your money markets as of today, the 30th of March 2022. Yep.
Yeah, they're performing within the same ranges, but we are anticipating a fuel rise.
Exactly. As of tomorrow, the 31st, looking at how the Energy Regulation Board has been doing the past 3 months at least, they've been reviewing the fuel prices at least monthly. So tomorrow being the last day of the month, we'll we're anticipating either an increase.
I haven't seen any factors that will lead us to a reduction, Sharon. What I'm saying,
factors that are leading us to an
I'm just
adjustment.
seeing factors that are leading us to an adjustment, and we saw the build-up.
Yeah, we saw the build-up statements from various stakeholders.
The Minister of Energy came out to say the war in Ukraine is affecting the oil marketing system. So we are going to see prices of oil on the international market rising, thereby affecting countries, including Zambia.
Exactly.
So we are going to see that. And bread, we are also likely to see an increase in bread. Is it the reason that our breakfast table is not having bread, Sharon? But I don't have to assume that maybe you were just delayed in preparing our breakfast.
Exactly.
But wheat, Sharon, Russia, Ukraine, they are also major producers of this wheat, and that's the main product that goes into bread
manufacturing.
Yes.
I saw a story from Kenya. Actually, it was, I think, a BBC report where it revealed that bread, flour has gone up really beyond anticipation, owing to the fact that the main producers are in conflict and most of the activities, business transactions have been halted towards that end. So if at all this continues, yes, people may just learn to live with it, like the way we've learned to live with COVID. You know, sometimes wars take very long, you know, for them to just end and reach a consensus talk as leaders, but then people learn to live with these situations. So I'm hoping probably that would be the case, because we are almost a month in that.
And we do produce a bit of wheat as well, but it's about time we reflect as a country on how we go on a large scale.
I saw also Paul Kagame of Rwanda. He posted something like that, say my people will not suffer because of tension from other countries, so I'm subsidizing this and that. I was like, wow, can we subsidize
but the youth Don does not want to talk subsidy.
Can we subsidize those things so that people are not really affected? But anyways, in case you are just joining us, this is The Breakfast. My name is Sharon Kalimbula, and on the other side I have Patrick Soko. We will be zooming into some of the stories that made headlines yesterday, and we will have conversations with two of our guests. Obviously, today, Thursday and Friday at 7:30 to 8, we are having a sponsored segment by the Operation Young Vote, and later on at 7:30 exactly, we will be joined by our guest in studio discussing some of the pertinent issues that are affecting the country. Of course, we promised as Camnet TV that we will bring you information regarding elections before, during, and after, and we are in the after season, and therefore we are trying by all means to track the developmental aspirations and promises made by the ruling party, which is the United Party for National Development. So yes, later on we'll be joined by Bruce Joma from the Disability Movement, talking about issues regarding their sector and the promises made by the ruling party 7 months down the line, if at all they are following these promises. So that's now. We zoom into one of the stories, Patrick.
Yeah, Nakez, where we are saying that the free education is compromising the quality of education.
Exactly. This is actually one of the things that has come out prominent with regards to offering quality education. Obviously, most of the stakeholders have mentioned to say schools are crowded.
Exactly.
Schools are crowded because of over-enrolled.
Visited various places, schools. That situation has been overwhelming. It also shows that in terms of SDGs, there's that aspect of, Sharon, having children go to school. In terms of enrollment, it's like now we're going to 100% in achieving that goal. Yes. In terms of enrollment, but now we also have that other aspect of quality.
The SDG number 4.
Yes.
That emphasizes on quality education.
So now
are we offering that quality part?
Yes,
because looking at how Zambia is, this is not news, actually, that most of the schools, especially those in rural areas, don't even have desks. We have pupils that are sitting on the floor. If I were to call it on the floor, I would actually even sound better. They're actually sitting in sand, on sand, and on logs. But then those are in rural areas. Let's talk about urban areas as well, that schools that have over-enrolled. they don't have proper desks.
Exactly.
That also compromises the quality of education. Isaac, let's look at this story, and on the other side, we will continue the conversation.
The introduction of free education in Zambia, in as much as is a progressive move, has come with its own challenges such as high teacher-pupil ratio, lack of desks and learning space, a situation that has been affecting the delivery of quality education. National Action for Quality Education in Zambia, NACASE, is however saddened by the fact that since free education was introduced in Zambia, no single desk has been procured in school to cater for the sitting challenge. NACASE Executive Director Aaron Chansa says the overcrowding in schools is a matter of concern and has wondered why the government has been delaying in releasing funds for the procurement of desks.
The other worrying factor is the issue of lack of desks. We expected again the ministry to buy thousands of desks to counter the overcrowding of classes. A lot of our people have gone back to school, and the ministry is expected by all of us to intervene, buy more desks, and reduce the pupil desk ratios that are very, very bad. Currently, a lot of our learners are sitting on the floor. This is not good for quality education.
Mr. Chansa also says teachers in schools are being overwhelmed by a number of pupils each teacher has to attend to. Mr. Chansa has called on the government to speed up the recruitment process, taking into consideration that the first term is almost coming to an end.
We also expect recruitment of teachers. The Minister of Finance, when presenting the budget speech on the floor of the House, told the world that government had found money and that teachers were going to be recruited in January. We are now going into April. We have not seen any advert for teacher recruitment. We are now getting worried, and we hope that this teacher recruitment will be announced as soon as possible.
While free education has opened up an opportunity for many children who have been denied an opportunity to be in school to attend an education, delaying the process of recruiting teachers and providing a conducive learning environment by ensuring that desks are made available will affect the good intention engulfed in the free education initiative. Government should then urgently address this matter. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Access to medicine is vital towards achieving universal health coverage. Universal health coverage means that all people have access to health services they need when and where they need them without financial hardship. However, this goal has been under threat owing to lack of access to medicines, a situation Zambia's Health Minister Sylvia Masebo had said was temporary as the government was trying to clean up the procurement system. While government has been making justifications, its critics have been making recommendations to improve the situation to safeguard people's lives. Tuesday, 29th March 2022, Minister of Information and Media, Director Spokesperson Tawo Kawana, visited Chilenje First Level Hospital, the University Teaching Hospital UTH, and Levi Mwanawasa Medical Hospital. At UTH, just like at Chilenje, we were allowed to check on the available stocks and briefed on the drug status.
As you've seen, I think we have the essential drugs and we're able to attend to our patients. We might not have the desired stocks, but we have the stock that we're able to attend to our patients. Patients are receiving their drugs and we've not closed our pharmacy.
What do you mean desired stock?
Desired stock is having 100% stock. But as you can see that there have been issues of delayed procurement at the national level, and this has also affected us as institutions. But management has been trying very hard to ensure that we are supported to undertake local procurements.
UTH Senior Medical Superintendent Dr. Charles Mutemba spoke to us.
In the hospital, definitely it's not 100% where it used to be, but we're not at 0% in any way at all, because of the various sources of income that we have of drug acquisition. And also the method that we use is that we use protocols when we are actually prescribing drugs. Each particular disease, we have a protocol of which drugs to use. So there's also a rational use of drugs. So as we speak today, if we had an opportunity for you to see the pharmacy, we are quite well stocked. That is before the actual ZAMSA program starts setting in as it is. So at the moment, if you have to inspect the hospitals for admitted inpatient, we don't have a challenges or crisis of drug situation the last 4 months, because we have been appropriate source of income from the grant, from NEMA, and from the internal generous funds.
At Levi Mwanawasa Medical University, the situation was the same. Enough drugs, but not fully stocked, according to the pharmacist.
For now, I would say we are around 78% in terms of ZAMSA is not doing very well currently, but what we are doing is we are buying most of our commodities, because I think the grant has been increased. We are aware that the grant has been increased, so even our purchases have increased in terms of what we are purchasing now to fill up that gap from ZAMSA. So that's how we are managing the situation with ZAMSA. So we are buying most of our commodities as a hospital.
Ministry of Information and Media Director spokesperson Tabo Kawana is concerned that there's been a lot of misinformation on the status of medicines in the public health facilities.
The facilities we have visited so far, I think you've been able to see that from Chilenge through to UTH, and now we're here at Levi Mwanawasa Hospital. The drug situation being painted is not as black a picture as the one that is being painted, especially on social media. There is a decent level of medication and being administered on patients and being given to outpatients.
And when asked about people being given prescription whenever they seek medical attention, Mr. Kawana said this has always been the case in a situation where the drugs are not available, but that the situation is being improved by the UPND administration with the effective implementation of the National Health Insurance Scheme.
Not all medicines are there. Those that are not there, you'll be given a prescription. Even that prescription, if you are registered under NEMA, you will be able to access medication and the government will pay for you through NEMA. So what is important for all of us, especially you colleagues in the media, is to advocate that every person in this country ought to be a member of NEMA. NEMA.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka. Well, interesting stories there in the news we had last evening where we're talking about medicine. That's been topical for a while, and we also talked about Nakes, where they were also talking about the issue of quality education, free education compromising the quality of education, Sharon there. And in the studios we're being joined by our first guest to help us discuss the Follow Your Vote campaign. And this is not new. This man is not new to Camnet TV. It's Mr. Bruce Choma, coming from Disability Rights Watch. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you so much for having us this morning.
We are glad that you could find time to be with us in the studios this morning and have breakfast with us, the heavy breakfast.
Indeed, I'm enjoying my breakfast, absolutely. I think that you're doing a very good job at hosting us. I wish I can be here more often.
Commendable. Commendable job. Right.
Yeah, a commendable job indeed. Sharon.
So the Follow Your Vote campaign program is brought to you by the Operation Young Vote and its cooperating partners. Of course, the Disability Rights Watch, being a partner, has sent one of their representatives on this conversation, and the topic rather of discussion is Follow Your Vote campaign and disability, looking at the fact that he is coming from the disability movement, like we mentioned earlier when Patrick was opening or introducing Mr. Choma. Patrick, please.
Yeah, we are currently 7 months plus in the post-election period, Mr. Choma, where a number of promises were made, especially by the United Party for National Development administration, pertaining to addressing issues with persons with cross-cutting disabilities. First of all, to just get our conversation started, we want to get your perspective before elections and post-elections on some of the commitments and which direction we should be heading as a country.
Okay, thank you so much, Patrick. I think that The follow vote campaign that that has brought us here by OIV is a very important post-election process, because oftentimes as a society and even as NGOs, we tend to go to sleep after elections have passed, and we give governments a lot of space to do things as they wish. But I think that with this campaign, we're trying to sustain the engagement with citizens, so that beyond just the day of voting and the elections, we now begin to check the extent to which the elected representatives are adhering to their promises, and also push for platforms for engagement. Because oftentimes policies and programs of government do not respond and work well, because there are no mechanisms for the electorate to engage effectively with the elected representatives. They become busy. We have heard of complaints of people not picking up their phones. We have heard of complaints of people missing out on appointments. We are hearing alliance partners saying we have not been given jobs. There are all these expectations that come after elections. But the question we should be asking ourselves is, what is the reason why we elect leaders? What is their job as politicians? And to what extent do citizens understand their functions? So we had the election in August last year, and in majority the youths decided to change the regime. And I think we're at a point now where UPND has formed government after waiting for a very long time. And our job as NGOs and civil society in general is to see to it that we hold them to account on their promises. And your question is specifically to ask me to talk about the post-election and the pre-election environment. I think that there are some low-lying fruits that Zambians wanted. For instance, there was the annoyance that Zambians had with the level to which political party cadres had influence on the country's systems. You know, issues of running of bus stations and markets, issues of appointments to public office, issues of intimidation of public officers by people who are partisan in nature. And that was not good, because it took away resources meant for public service. And we saw that with the coming of the UPND, there was a decisive political will at the highest level to deal with this matter. And I think what we are seeing now on especially our urban setups is a lot of tranquility in markets and bus stations. And I think that the local authorities are now reporting that they're getting the revenues that were previously taken by cadres. That is a low-lying fruit. But also we've noted that there has been a significant improvement in terms of professionalism in the public service, because now the police officers are given the right to enforce the law as they should. We've seen a lot of emphasis on law enforcement agencies to do their job professionally and work within the confines of the law. But of course, there are also certain challenges we have seen, particularly around the economic management. I think that the UPND promised us that they're going to deliver an inclusive government, and they're going to also deliver a very quick economic turnaround strategy. And I think we have seen an increase in the cost of living, and we have seen significant challenges with regards to the lack of consensus on how we are going to handle our debt situation and the issues around the economy, and generally how we would invest in social protection. So there has been positives, and there have also been some drawbacks. But I think what is critical in the eyes of citizens is to see that the regime has got a clear focus in terms of what they want to achieve. And I think that we need to see a clear articulation of what exactly is the vision, that they have. And coming from a constituency where we're talking about persons with disabilities, one of the things that we have been expecting is that there is going to be consideration of people with disabilities at the level of decision making. When we had the conversation before the elections on Butane and the revision of the constitution, I think the UPND in opposition then argued that we don't need a bill like that one, because the constitution already provided that the president should appoint a person with disability to parliament, for instance, and a youth and women. But we have not seen that promise come into pass. What we have seen instead is a very male-dominated and an inclusive cabinet and also parliament. So we feel that we need to do a lot better in terms of identifying people with disabilities who can serve in strategic positions. We have begun to see a few names coming. I think just 2 days ago we saw the appointment of a human rights commissioner. And I think that's a very progressive one, because it's also a woman with a disability. For me, as an organization, we are saying that women with disabilities face significant challenges. They've not been able to speak for themselves, and they've been facing a lot of discrimination. So I think having a person like her who has probably experienced discrimination at a personal level, it will help to amplify the level of awareness in the public service, but also within the work of the Commission, to ensure to it that the rights of women are given prominence. And also we saw one other appointment to the Public Service Commission the other time, and I think we also have a person of Albanese serving on the Police Service Commission. But we need more substantive positions coming through in that direction. But I think more critically also is the national planning framework. We have just been coming from validation yesterday and the other day of the 8th National Development Plan.
Yes.
It was hurriedly done because obviously the budget had passed before it was approved, so there were those concerns. We still are not satisfied with the extent to which the plan has captured disability inclusion issues, and I think that we need to do a lot better as a country to provide for a mainstreaming strategy so that we can put enough resources to addressing the barriers that people with disabilities face.
Could this be a sign that there's no political will with regards to including persons with disability in these positions, looking at a developmental plan for 5 years, meaning they will not be represented properly in the next 5 years?
Yeah, the political will is demonstrated, one, by the policies and laws, but secondly also by the resources allocated. And when we look at our national budget and our medium-term expenditure framework, we are not seeing a commitment to adequate resources towards addressing issues of infrastructure, upgrades for accessibility, issues of investing in education for children and young people with disabilities, because those are the things that should be able to increase their opportunities in life. And so the political will that we are seeing is inadequate in terms of addressing the systemic discrimination that people with disabilities have faced as a country. And frankly speaking, we have not done well at all in terms of actually implementing our plans. Mm-hmm. When you look at the review of the previous 7th National Development Plan, you see that the pillar on poverty and vulnerability, which is where disability is put, it was the worst performing pillar. It had less than 30% in terms of resource allocation, realization of what was supposed to be done. And even that which was done was mostly through cooperating partners. Yeah. So you see that we are not spending public funds on accelerating disability inclusion as a country. Look at the Zambia Agency for People with Disabilities. It is extremely under-resourced. They are almost invisible in all the provinces. They have got no vehicles. They can't register people with disabilities. And there are all these structural institutional challenges they are facing. So we need to get to a point where we actually invest in strengthening the institutions that must coordinate disability mainstreaming, but also deliver services, especially in rural areas where there are a lot of challenges for people with disabilities.
Mr. Choma, that brings me to one other important question based on your organization, because we also have to understand what role does Disability Rights Watch play to ensure that you also make play a part in terms of addressing the plight of disability. We understand there are a lot of organizations, but yes, what Disability Rights Watch specifically does to ensure that these gaps are reduced in terms of ensuring that the disability movement is well represented.
Correct.
Just to add to you, been advocating for these rights for quite a long time, and there's no significant improvement, obviously baby steps. Would you say you're winning in this advocacy?
Well, advocacy is a very contested process. Every other sector is pushing for its own issues, and we're all pushing the same government. But in terms of our mandate, we're a watchdog organization. Our responsibility is to strengthen the advocacy voice of the disability movement by supporting the Federation for the Disabled and other organizations to engage government on the issues of policies and programs. And we are sitting on various technical committees convened by government to develop policies, to review policies, sometimes being legislation. We always go to Parliament to make submissions on various processes, including on draft bills. That is an important work that we're doing, but we also monitor the extent of implementation that government is doing, and we issue reports around what government is doing in various sectors. But importantly, also one of the works we do is access to justice, where we are providing discrimination processes in terms of casework at community level. Where we're operating, people come to report to our desks where they feel that they've been discriminated against, and we help to mediate or even engage institutions on behalf of people with disabilities. So the question that Sharon, you're asking is, are we winning? I agree that we are not winning at the pace we would have wanted to, but we know that in terms of the policy and legal framework, there has been a little bit of progress, because when you read the Disability Act, it is quite a progressive piece of law. But the challenge that Zambia has generally is that we are not good at implementing what we write on paper. And I think that for a sector like ours, which is oftentimes the least you want to be considered when funds are being allocated, it becomes even worse in terms of implementation. And you would see why we keep on having people with disabilities protesting, locking up offices, going on the streets. It's because they feel that they have been left out, you know, in terms of development. And this is where we need to focus, beginning to invest early enough in disability prevention by improving the quality of our healthcare system, providing assistive devices, opening up opportunities for education. We ensure that going into the future, people with disabilities will have better chances in terms of access to jobs, employment, as well as looking after their families. Because as a country, we have agreed that we're not going to be looking at disability as a warfare and charity issue, where you just want to be giving people handouts, wheelchairs, clothes, and food, as we were doing in the past, putting them alone in these farms, in villages, and whatnot. And now we are saying that they must be included within our community. So for that to happen, we must remove all the barriers, the accessibility issues we're talking about, and also just ensuring that issues of access to resources like land, for instance, is made available to people with disabilities. Just yesterday, we had a review meeting of the land policy, and we were saying we need to ensure that in that policy we have the 10% allocation of land to people with disabilities. We have got currently 50% given to women and 20% given to the youth, but there's no percentage given to people with disabilities. And those are some of the things that the New Dawn government needs to proactively address, so that the councils can begin to allocate this land in accordance with with what is required for disability inclusion to happen.
Among the focus areas by Disability Rights Watch is participation in the electoral process and governance. So generally, in essence, we are the drive under the Triple V campaign by the Operation Young Vote, which also culminated into what we are discussing today, the Follow Your Vote campaign. How do you think this would assist your organization in achieving its goals? Now that we are talking post-elections.
Yes, and I'm glad you've asked that question, because the right to political participation is one of those rights that have been severely limited in this country in the context of people with disabilities. We have struggled to have an electoral system that is responsive to the needs of people with disabilities. You know, in 2011 we were in court, and the courts found that the ECZ was running a discriminatory electoral process, and they actually told them that there are things they needed to do to ensure that the system becomes responsive, including having a budget allocated specifically for disability accessibility needs, relocating polling booths to ground stations, and also improving voter education and awareness and engagement of people with disabilities in the electoral process. So we have seen that the right to a secret ballot, for instance, for people who are visually impaired has been a challenge. We are now working with the Braille jacket, but we know Braille is not for every visually impaired person. You have to be Braille literate, but also the design of that particular jacket has had its own challenges. So you will find that they are hardly utilized, you know, and in most instances they aren't even available. So we have to do a lot more to ensure that the electoral process becomes accessible to people with disabilities. But we also have some legal challenges, for instance, issues around mental disability, where people are said to be legally disqualified because of their mental history. Mental health history are not allowed to register as voters or stand as candidates. So we have to deal with these issues around Section 4 of the Mental Health Act. So we have systemic barriers that affect people with disabilities in participating in the electoral process. We are happy to see that the ECZ, in their last meeting with the President, committed to electoral reforms. And we think that electoral reforms must also include improving the extent to which the electoral process is inclusive. And with the move now to have continuous voter registration, our advocacy work now in the community is to ensure that as many people with disabilities as possible who have not been captured can also get their voters' cards. In the last process before the elections, people with disabilities were being asked to indicate their impairment. But what we saw when the register was published was that that data was not readily available. And the ECZ continued distributing materials without informing themselves about where the individuals who need them are. So we think that between this period and the next election, ECZ must generate accurate data in terms of people with disabilities who are on the voters register, so that they can plan adequately for them, so that they are able to provide the right support systems and also ensure that the right materials are placed in the right polling stations, and that there's adequate training of the polling assistants. So that must be done, and I think all of us in the sector have a duty to collaborate with the government and the ECZ to ensure that those measures are realized. But that requires a lot of budgetary support. And I think that this is where government must also take interest in ensuring that the representation of NGOs in the structures of the electoral system is actually enhanced, beyond just putting them in the conflict management committees and the voter awareness committees. We need to have a lot more representation there, especially at the design stage, so that most of these facilities are not designed in a manner that does not include the needs of people with disabilities.
Right, just a reminder, we are in conversation with Bruce Joma from the Disability Rights Watch, and a program that is sponsored, a segment rather, that is sponsored by the Operation Young Vote, and we are discussing Follow Your Vote campaign and disability. So you too can add your voice by calling us, or rather send us those text messages via our socials, and we will be able to ask those questions to the guests that we have on set right about now. Now, Mr. Joma, your constituency, you call it, has a lot of vulnerable people, and looking at how the cost of living is being projected or moving, or currently is 7 months down the line under the UPND administration, how is it going to affect them insofar as their living standard is concerned, which is already below par, for lack of a better term, for the majority?
And when we talk about the Follow Your Vote campaign, which we are discussing, you find that when we are following the campaign promises from the previous administration, they were saying that 3 meals a day, and cooking oil will be more affordable, and not that arrangement. So, well, but looking at the situation according to the JCT BNB, it is standing at 9,000 plus. And for your members, Mr. Choma, what does that mean especially?
I mean, it's a serious issue of concern, because I think this is one of the challenges that the voters have, and this is one of the reasons why sometimes we have voter apathy. It's because people do not see a direct connection between the improvement in their quality of life and the decisions they made when they are voting. And so it is of concern to people with disabilities that the economic situation in the country is not improving as quickly as we would have loved to. And we know that when the economy is not doing well, the most vulnerable groups are the ones that suffer the most, because their capacity to respond and to withstand, these shocks is extremely limited. And in addition to the economic challenges, we now have climate change issues that are affecting livelihoods in terms of agriculture output and food security at household level. So governments needed to provide a stronger social protection mechanism that will help people with disabilities to cope with the shocks of the economic challenges we're facing. And one of the things the UPND government did, which is commendable in this year's budget, was that they increased the transfer value for the cash transfer money. For people with disabilities, they get double the value that others get. So now they're getting 800 kwacha bi-monthly, which is slightly a lot better. But again, nothing compared to the actual cost of living.
Exactly.
And also the fact that that grant only covers a very limited number of people with disabilities, because they only give those who've got severe disabilities, and most of them are physical. So it leaves out a lot of people who actually need that support. So we needed to have put in place something like a disability grant, which other countries are doing, like South Africa is doing, so that every person who has a disability is able to receive government public funding to help them meet their needs as persons with disabilities. I think that is where we should be moving towards in terms of our social protection mechanisms, so that we can be able to help people with disabilities to survive the harsh economic times. But also, as we are now talking about devolution, the UPND is saying they are sending money to the constituencies, to the ward level through these CDF funding and whatnot. Reading the CDF guidelines, you don't actually see a strong emphasis on the need to ensure that some of those empowerment resources are ring-fenced towards vulnerable groups like women, and people with disabilities. And we needed to ensure that those mechanisms are strengthened at the local level so that you don't have to subject people with disabilities to the same level of competition as their non-disabled persons, because obviously they've got limitations in access to information, they've got limitations also in terms of what they can do. So they would need more intensive support to implement projects at community level. So we have to look at people with disabilities as people who can contribute to the country's economy. So those who are able to have a certain skill or able to produce certain things, they must be given preferential treatment.
Yeah.
If government is buying desks, there are people with disabilities who are producing desks as carpenters. Give them the contract supply at local level so that they don't just wait for a cash transfer or a handout from an NGO. They should be able to work for themselves and support their families where they can. So the challenges of the economy are real, and I think a lot of our people are complaining that the cost of living has gone severely up, and there are challenges at household level. And some of the issues we're grappling with now are even around education, because now we've got the promise of free education, and unfortunately for people with disabilities, this free education promise is proving to be a far-fetched dream. In fact, because of the over-enrollment, the outcomes now for learners with disabilities who are in the inclusive learning setup have become worse, because they can't get the attention they needed to get from teachers, because now the teachers got over 100 learners in one class. Previously, there would be 30, 40. So that is a challenge in terms of free education for people with disabilities. But also you see that the removal of some of those fees that used to be paid to schools means that those who are in special education boarding schools have got limited resources. So parents are now being asked to pay a lot more in terms of boarding fees and food to keep them in school. So the cost of education actually for learners with disabilities has not become free. As a matter of fact, it has actually increased. And that is compounded by the effect of COVID-19. A lot of young people with disabilities have fallen out of school. From the time the schools were closed, they never went back after the schools were reopened after COVID. And some of them couldn't progress to the next grades. So we have significant challenges there which haven't been addressed adequately in the current reforms around the education sector.
Another interesting part of the OIV innovation is the use of a communique, the local community demand accountability and advocacy too. But how would that also benefit the disability movement, and how can you take advantage of that where you are also part of the community and you also participate and also make those demands? In fact, they are just reminders, because we've been
making demands forever.
Exactly. Yeah, so how can the disability movement take advantage of this too, in terms of reminding the leaders of their responsibilities to them, especially in terms of ensuring that they safeguard their livelihoods?
So the demand communique is a very important monitoring tool for the performance of our elected leaders. And it provides an opportunity for people with disabilities at the local level, at the community level, as far down as the ward level, to engage with the civic leaders and look at their promises against the needs of the people, and then agree on a set of priorities of issues that must be addressed. So people with disabilities are going to be also participating in these local meetings. They will be more like a town hall meeting. You come together, you know, as a ward, you have got people with disabilities, women, the youths, and other interested stakeholders, the private sector, the marketeers. You come together and you discuss with your civic leaders. Look, we have got issues here of garbage collection. We've got issues of inaccessible roads for people with disabilities. We've got all these communication barriers, lack of signage. For instance, people who are deaf require signage. If you go to most of our bus stations, even just at Kulima Tower they will be shouting Mandevu, they'll be saying Ngombe, but if you can't hear those things, you won't know which bus to board, because you depend on reading. Exactly. And we haven't done enough, just to put signage, just to point people to say, if you're going to Charleston, go this way. If you're going to this direction. So those are low-lying things that you can do at a local level. So with this communique, you are able to engage the civic leaders and say, look, these are our needs. Can you ensure that at a bare minimum, some of the things that can be done begin to be done progressively? So it's an important tool, because then it's going to help us to keep our leaders in check, and also just remind them to recommit to the issues that they promised and begin to follow them up. We know that sometimes politicians overpromise, and we've allowed them to overpromise.
Overpromise, and we overexpect.
And then instead they overexpect.
And then they also make promises that are outside their mandate.
Exactly.
You know, and then when they fail to deliver, they start giving excuses. So through this communique, we're able to clarify, what is your job? passing bylaws, monitoring projects, lobbying for resources from central government. Those are things you need to be able to do.
It is not you to build a road.
Exactly, but now people are coming.
But they take it personal, Mr. Tom. When I'm elected, I'm going to bring a school.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, like you're the one who's going to use your own money
to
bring a school. Now councillors are in trouble. You go to most of these places, even MPs, they are burying people, they are buying coffins, they are buying meeting you at funerals. You know, people are calling you. I mean, last week I was with an MP who was being called by people in his constituency. So, you know, and I'm like, how does an MP start buying diapers for you?
I know that MP.
But anyways, these
it's the promises we make.
Yes, the promises that you make. Probably even yourselves as leaders not understanding your mandate, or maybe is it just trying to hold the votes from members of the public. However, Mr. Shoma, we are coming to a conclusion of this conversation. Very elaborate and interesting. And we haven't even seen that we've gone beyond the 30 minutes. And, your concluding remarks insofar as your constituency is concerned, and 7 months down.
Yeah, just to applaud the Operation Young Vote and of course the partners who are behind the Follow Your Vote campaign for creating a platform that will allow, you know, communities to engage with their civic leaders. And we need more initiatives like this, and working together with the media like yourselves who have always been available to give us a platform to air out our concerns and also to be heard by government. As you know, it's very difficult sometimes to engage with government because they have got so many competing needs. But it's important for us to be able to raise this voice and consistently engage. So we want to appeal to families of people with disabilities to ensure that as much as possible they take interest in understanding the government programs and making sure that they register for various support systems and participate effectively in the issues happening around their community, especially now that we have got decentralization.
All right. Thank you so much, Bruce, and we hope to have you next time and continue this conversation. I think we need 2 hours.
We need 2 hours.
We need 2 hours to exhaust
and the breakfast is nice.
Please go on. And,
so I'll be every other morning.
We'll make sure that we even scale the menu.
Exactly. For now, though, let's take a short breather. Join us on the other side with another guest as we continue conversations regarding Zambia's economic trajectory. Good morning.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. Camnet TV app. You only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Hello, I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. You're watching the Camnet Breakfast. My name is Sharon Kalibla once again, and on the other chair, actually, I have Patrick Soko. As usual, we are talking politics, policy, and all things governance. And we were just from talking to Bruce Joma from the Disability Movement, talking about issues regarding persons living with disability and what plans government has after the elections. Like we always promised. But for now, though, we are joined via Zoom by a man that never disappoints us, Patrick.
Yeah, Mr. Bizwa Mtale. Oh, as usual, on time, on point, via Zoom, making use of technology for us to break those barriers.
Indeed, COVID has taught us a lot. Mr. Mtale, good morning.
Good morning, Sharon. How are you, Patrick? Good morning.
Good morning.
You look very excited.
Patrick.
Yes.
Patrick. I'm glad to see Patrick.
Yeah, it's been a while, Mr. Mtare. How have you been?
Not very well, can't complain.
A lot of developments happening in Zambia. I hope you've been following as well.
Very closely. Very closely. I never miss a moment.
Distance is not a barrier.
No. No.
All right, Mr. Mtale, from last time, we pick it up from last time where we had a very, very candid conversation regarding the rebranding program under the Patriotic Front. Just a reminder to our viewers, Mr. Mtale is the National Mobilization Committee member of the Patriotic Front and has been very, very outspoken regarding the rebranding process of the Patriotic Front after they lost the 2021 election. And we have been engaging him on several occasions just to talk about the process and if at all it is indeed going to be successful to rebrand as well as hold the convention. Also a reminder, he is one of the presidential aspirants for the Patriotic Front. He's not in the country, however, we continue to talk to him via the online platforms as we are doing now. Now, Mr. Mtale, first of all, I think we haven't spoken to him from the time that we had the funeral.
Exactly, of the later fourth Republican President, Rupia Banda.
We are giving you this opportunity, Mr. Mtale, to send your message to the country owing to the fact that we lost one of the great leaders of this country.
Thank you very much, and I would like to send my condolences messages to all Zambian colleagues and friends and all the politicians. Zambia has lost almost all the past presidents. We are only dealing with one great legend president, Edgar Chagwa, as our senior sitting past president in our country, who is now serving as the father of the nation. And it's not a good revelation to all of us Zambians. And, you know, it's a sad moment in Zambia, and I would like to say to our colleagues and friends, brothers, and the bereaved families that, you know, may he so rest in peace, and we look forward to unite as they have made in the spirit. Thank you.
All right.
We started on an interesting position, Sharon. Mr. Mtare was just saying President Edgar Lungu should be is the father of the nation. But this conversation has, however, brought a lot of dimensions to it. Others are suggesting that it does not fit to be the father of the nation. Others are saying he is the father of the nation. Mr. Mtare,
does he qualify to be the father of the nation?
Because we had given people like KK the same name.
Yes.
Mr. Rupia Banda, the late Rupia Banda, the same name. So does ECL also qualify to be the father of the nation?
Thank Thank you very much. And you know, there is a notion that always make me angry when I start looking into things of those kind of comments. President Edgar Chagwa has been the president of the Republic of Zambia. President Edgar Chagwa, he has saved the people of Zambia with all his effort, and the flag of Zambia has been behind him. The notion that we have developed in Zambia for hatred of one another, I think our political arena, political scenario in our country is lacking, needs seekers' attention. Our political scenario in Zambia that we are now developing of scandalizing one another, it's not the way we have learned from UNIP, in MMD, and so on. No. Right now, whether we like it or not, whether we hate President Edgar Chagwa, we don't hate him. He qualifies. He is the only remaining past president of our country, and he needs to be given the respect that he deserves. And all Zambians need to actually applaud him as the father of the nation as we speak. President Hijira Mahalainde, he is the junior president among all the presidents. He needs to go through, and he needs to prove to the people of Zambia that also one day he will join the league, of the Hall of Fame. President Edgar Chagwa, he is in the Hall of Fame, and he's the remaining Hall of Fame in our country. Whether we like it or not, he is the Hall of Fame.
The League of Fathers of the Nation.
And it reminds me of WWE. Wrestling, where you have to go into the Hall of Fame. And we were seeing the Undertaker there. He has done the induction ceremony. But now, just a follow-up to that same question. What role should President Edgar Lungu, former President Edgar Lungu, play to ensure that it becomes more relevant to the country's development? And others have advised that it needs to stay out of the Patriotic Front activities. And we also want to get your perspective regarding what you make of his statements where he labeled the current administration, or it was others suggest that it was blown out of proportion, that the current administration was being hypocritical on matters to do with dialogue. So we want to get your perspective on that.
I think I needed to bring this into perspective. If we are a true democratic nation,
yes.
The thing that I always look in our country, we don't understand democracy in Zambia. We are claiming to be a democratic country, which we do not understand. No matter what, democracy is a freedom of speech, okay? It's for the people, by the people. Let the will and the choice of the people be heard and be acted upon. Democracy in Zambia, when we look at it in today's current status, we are not even able to be like that we are into a democratic society. No, I cannot say that. We are losing it democratically. We are losing it. I'll tell you one thing. Look at other countries around the world. I'll give you an example. One of my great friends, President Paul Kagame. I met him in 2010 face to face. I dined with him. I chatted with him. He's still a sitting president. He's a democratic leader. He's a democratic leader. And you look at the other ordinary the presidents that are sitting out there. We've got the Yoweri Museveni. He's a democratic leader. Year in, year out, he goes for election. As long as the people of the country loves you, it goes on. But here, when the president, like President Edgar Chagwa, he was hate when he's even sitting in. Personal hatred. The comment that he makes, be it a good comment that he makes, it tends to be something very bad. I want to give you one good example about President Edgar Chagwa, his strategy that we have not witnessed in the Youth Dawn as we speak. When he got into power, despite how he got into power, when he came into power, he looked at what is the people of Zambia are going to do in terms of development, working hand in hand with the government. Definitely, through a strategic planning, we have delivered to hospitals under his signatures. Hospitals are standing. We have schools. The schools are standing. State-of-the-art infrastructure is standing. The love of one another in Zambia is standing. Despite a few scandals here and there, is standing. The infrastructure that we have today is not even looked at it, but what we focus on, it is a sentiment of what he says. He is also a Zambian. That does not make him a less Zambian if he make a comment of hypocrisy. You don't know what goes on behind the curtain. We are not privy to every information. He's a Zambian. When he said the word that he says, I looked at it how he said, we need to preach what we say. We need to get that from me now. That's a topic. We need to act to what we preach. The people of Zambia, when they went to vote, they had the message that they were told, which PF didn't have. Over 2,000 people voted for that message. And that message, if that message is not acted upon, it's going to be hypocritical. Understand? That is hypocrisy. Bear with me, hypocrisy. And if the love that has been brought in our, the love that has been brought in the new dawn, it was not there in the UPA, so in the PF, in the past government, something is wrong. I'll give you a simple example. I want to inform you that I was a full-time UPND member, senior member in the UPND, very active. But what we saw in UPND, then when in opposition, they were saying in the UPND there was a lot of intimidation, violence that is coming from the ruling party and so on. But we preached to change all that and bring love. Are you seeing love now, or are you seeing more intimidation and violence in our country today? No one is talking about that violence. People are hacked in their own houses. What is the message sending to you? I'll give you an example. We have got an incident that I'm failing to get over my head. That can happen to you. It can happen to me. And nothing has been taken on it. The Montebello accountant who was hacked in his own house, in front of his wife. He was killed in his own wife, butchered and so on. And nothing has happened about it. Our Minister of Home Affairs has failed to take stance in terms of letting the law deal with that kind of perpetrators. It is going on. It has become an everyday situation in our country. We need to find a law where we can translate and transform the words. Certain words, when someone speaks it, try and expand it a little bit, digest it. Why is he saying the following? UPND preached for peace and unity and independence, but there's no independence. But what we see, intimidation, and that need to be cut.
Mr. Mutare, which intimidation? Just a moment, Mr. Mutare, which intimidation are you referring to?
No, what we are saying now, what I'm saying when I say intimidation, correct? The violence that is going on, which we are talking in now, I'm analyzing the word hypocrisy. You understand? That has been taken out of context. We preach good about ourselves, but in terms of action, we are actually going against what we preach. You understand? It doesn't matter how small, how big. In Zambia, there's a lot of tension. It's like in Zambia, we are watching a TV which has got showers. You understand? We are hearing the voices that we need to hear, but they're not clear. The video is not clear. That's what you are watching in Zambia. It's vivid. The showers are coming. We're trying to sort out the audio. When will the audio be right? So that we can see it clear. That's what we are seeing in Zambia. Let's stop lying. Zambia is our country, all of us. We want to see what is right for our country, not pretending.
Now, can you now respond to the other part of the question where what role should the president play and the former president rather play, and to ensure that he plays that responsibility of advising the government,
of being the father
of the nation. What role should he play in terms of that?
President Edgar Chagwa, he cannot claim he is the father of the nation. It is written. Let's get that clear. He is the remaining president of the Republic of Zambia among the past. He is alive. We cannot ignore that. He is alive. And we are not going to find what role he has to play. He is playing a role of unifying the nation. He is playing the role of the great father we have in our country.
On which platform?
How much we hate him.
On which platform has he played that role? Or is it a future prospect?
I want you to understand that President Edgar Chagwa is not a superstition. He's just a human like you. He's a human. And it depends how you you want to take him. You understand? It's very how you want to classify him. If you want to classify him with superstition, then you are wrong, because you expect too much from him. And on top of that, there's a lot of anger towards him, a lot of hate towards him. People of Zambia, we need to learn to claim what is ours. I, for one, I'll tell you that if he decided today to say, you know what, I want to stand as a president again, everyone will condemn him, but he's got the right. We have not stripped him those rights. As Zambian, and he still qualifies as a Zambian. It doesn't stop him. But right now, where the matters of the nation, are concerned, he needs to be consulted at a higher level. We can't ignore him. He has what we do not have.
All right, Mr. Mtale, let's bring it down to issues regarding the fight against corruption. You have been one of the advocates, especially in the Patriotic Front, calling for lifestyle audits. And the Anti-Corruption Commission, obviously, you've been following things that have been happening in the country, like you have mentioned keenly, Patrick, using his words. Recently, the President, Hakainde Hichilema, appointed a new board at the Anti-Corruption Commission. Do you think this will work according to the expectations of the Zambian people, especially that...
Sharon,
yes.
The ACC, their role, it has become a catch and release. I don't know if you understand, the catch and release, okay? It's a catch and release. No facts, brutalizing. As long as we saw you with the Range Rover, when you were in PF, you were like this, we will go after you. I am not impressed, and it's not what I meant, and it's not what the government should go after. I'm going to rephrase it again. What I meant is that the public have called the Patriotic Front a collapse, a squanderous party. And I am saying PF is not a squanderous party. No, it's not. There are individuals within the PF that under President Edgar Chagwa, he trusted them to run a certain government arms, you know, that deals with the public funds. But they have forgot to run those offices, but instead they have gone enrich themselves. Do we have the facts? We don't have the facts. How do we get the facts to answer the public? And I have said, let us go for forensic audit. When I was not a minister, I was a kawaya in the corner. I had nothing. My salary that I earned when I was a minister, can it put me in a position where I am to drive to fly a private jet of my own, to have my own helicopter of my own? Is what my office can afford to do that? Not a Zambian salary, not a minister's salary or an MP salary, not even an allowance can do that. So we need to investigate that comes from the public. Remember, the public, they are also civil servants. They work in the government, they see these things. They will remain long after when the minister is gone or the government is gone. They will remain, they have their facts. Let's investigate those individuals in their capacity, not a patriotic front. I'm a member of Patriotic Front. I get hit when I hear somebody that the party is corrupt and so on. I have toiled, I've invested in my own family resource to campaign, to pump support the party. But when they say people they are corrupt, I wonder which answer I should use. I have come to start realizing now and pay attention to the people of Zambia. They have got a platform. Let them go in those platforms and investigate one by one individuals. But at the state and at the level these institutions are running at, I want you to mark my word as I'm saying, I will never repeat this word again. They have not started yet. And at the rate they are going, very soon will be clocking 1 year, and the next year, and this will be a whitewash as usual. I want them to conclude to say, you know what? The people that are called to do the shenanigans in the party, not the PFR, 1, 2, 3, and they have been they've been given opportunity to answer for themselves. Not every type of patriotic front, no. Okay? It is gonna be going into that it's intimidation. I have got something in my heart against you. I will come out abuse of the office. What we are seeing, catch and release. Let's target that one. Let's target that one. I want to warn the new dawn. When you fight the crime, have all your facts. There are people who have worked clearly for their wealth. And how you do those investigations, contact the Zambia Revenue Authority, look at their TP number, how much tax, because your tax you have paid. And your wealth matches together. Every Zambian has got the right to pay taxes. You can't be a rich man, your taxes are in disarray. What kind of a country is that? If you have worked, man will say, I've been running a business before. I've been running a business in the background. You are not denied for that. Some of them, they have got the wealth they cannot even explain it. They have got to hide their wealth and depriving the nation. And when the police goes to arrest these people, because I have said we are going to investigate Honorable so and so, people go and investigate. They are not even, they go and arrest him, call them. It has become a circus. You understand? A circus. This ICC need to play its role, not because you are being used to become a tool of attacking or revenge on people that I didn't like who did what. No, I'm repeating. I want ACC to stand up to its own call and to stand up to investigate the individuals properly. When you summon to arrest, have the facts at hand. Don't call somebody for questioning and embarrassing people in the media because all you want is to embarrass somebody. You don't even have no facts. We are a joke. You know?
Wow. Interesting. And Mr. Mutare, this also brings you talking about putting facts together. The Patriotic Front Secretariat at the press briefing chaired by its acting President Mr. Given Lubinda, where he said you don't have to generalize the fight against corruption and call everyone a thief when you don't have facts. And Mr. Lubinda also pointed out the aspect that his arrest also gave him an opportunity to clear his name because he did not want to be entangled in corruption. So what's your take regarding those sentiments, Mr. Mutare, on the fight of try, as you say, the catch and release?
Too many phrases today. I can only imagine
superstition. I don't know what reading. All those statements is giving a shadow.
You see, we need to be very serious. We are not playing. This is not a game. And I must say that our democratic society in our country is being lost. We are turning into a wrestling fight. Okay? It becomes a wrestling fight. You fight, nobody wins. You fight, nobody, and tomorrow continues. We need to be serious. We are dealing with the nation. Our country every day is being deprived. Our country is being deprived, all right, because of our conduct and our action. Revenge must stop. Revenge must stop. But the reality and the seriousness must begin. I want to state that given Ruvinda, what he has actually said, Ruvinda, what he has said, he is not wrong. That's what I'm referring to as the catch and the release. The people in Zambia, they are expecting to see that whoever is being arrested has been proven guilty. You cannot arrest. Questioning it doesn't, you can call people to question them. And you question them, let them go. Don't embarrass people in front of the media, front them in front of the media, and think at the end of the day, there is nothing. And I think you will be misunderstood. My statement is not that I am calling for investigating of everybody, whatever. Those individuals, you can take all the ministers that were in the PF, if you have said the minister in PF, call them and have a chat with them, because the public need to know. Don't go after individuals who seem to be maybe you have a grudge against them and you want to start targeting them. You go to anyone who is close to the president, you go and attack. It doesn't work that way. We know the truth. We know the truth. This year it will finish. Next year it will finish. And it will continue like this. Arrested tomorrow behind the scene. You release him. He has done nothing. You've wasted his time, embarrassed him. Okay? Now we need the reality that the ACs, you can change the boards all you want. You can have different boards, even 5 boards, looking at different matters. The bottom line, let's be realistic. We are dealing with the human race here. This is our country, a nation. When we talk of corruption, you cannot fight corruption in a second. You cannot do that. Even in MMD, it has been there. We know a lot of things that have happened in MMD. It has been there. It has happened. It came into UPF. PF has not been a corruptive party. As it stands, I'm maintaining that way because the new dawn has failed to put anyone behind bars on those accusations. And we were wrong. What happened, it was a political mileage saying that the PF, let's remove them, it's a corrupt party. And we understand the people. But
on the same platform, you told us the PF, some people were corrupt in the PF. On the same platform, Mr. Mutale.
Arrest them, let them face jail sentence. But you are failing to put them. You are failing. Who are they? Name them. Name one. I've sacrificed all the Patriotic Front members, ministers. Let them be investigated, and if you found guilty, let them face sentence. Name them. I am saying all PF members, and they are ready and willing. We need to actually redeem Patriotic Front. We need to redeem them. But you are failing. You busy saying collapse. Let's narrow it down to the individual. Yes, we have said PF in a block basket. It's not a fantastic. PF is collapsed. We accept the public because they removed us. Now we are saying, let's narrow this corruption to the individuals. Go and investigate them. They are not even running away or refusing. We say run, go after them. But you catch them and you release them, and there is no evidence even to show.
Mr. Mutale, others would argue that it is too early for you to call it a whitewash, considering that other cases are before the courts. Are you predicting that the court outcomes would be whitewash as well?
No. That's what we are interested in, because cases that are in court, let's say those that are in court, because the court will determine whether that individual is corrupt himself. Remember, he's now dealing in his own personal capacity, not the Patriotic Front. Let's get that clear. The court is dealing with the individuals that have been found. Okay? That is part of the investigation. But not arresting people, release them and embarrass them that, he's corrupt and so on, denting their images. No. It doesn't work that way. Let's have, before you arrest a person, let us have the facts. And when you find the facts, our justice system is very clear in Zambia, very, very clear. And let us use the system to the betterment of our country, and also to assist the Patriotic Front to redeem its name from the public who are saying it is corrupt. Members are ready to, if there is court cases that are going on, congratulations to that. Let's wait for the court to do its own basis.
Interesting. Now going into other matters, Mr. Mutale, the issue of the economy, the cost of living going up as high as 9,000, 9.3 thousand kwacha for the family of five in Lusaka. What do you make of that, especially this time around, 7 months down the line under the UPND administration?
The cost of cooking oil is all over social media.
Thank you very much. And, you know, we need to be very careful. There is messaging, and that message for campaign and the message for action are totally different. When the UPND, they were campaigning, they told the people of Zambia that we have secured 25 billion to change the economy. We have secured, I'm going to say to the President what he said about the 25 billion and what President Edgar Chagolungu he said when he was inaugurated. The question came from a journalist, Vuyo Mvoko, okay, of SABC South Africa. He was in Lusaka and he interviewed the president to say, such that Mr. President, you are now inaugurated as the President of the Republic of Zambia. What are you going to do to the people of Zambia? He looked at the surrounding, he said, not much, but we shall see. You understand? We shall see. That was a maturity. Okay? Now, secondly, President Mahalainde, only his campaign, he said, 10 o'clock, we are being sworn. 14 hours, the dollar has dropped. 14 hours, we'll be staying in the jet. Has those things happened? We put a red big X. It didn't happen. The cost of living will be reduced so the people of Zambia can afford. Has that happened? It has gone different. Even the rescue of the rumble that is going on in Ukraine, it was COVID. Yes, PF struggled in COVID. PF did very well under the strict measure of COVID. Under the whole African continent. I will not say what one of the head of state I met off the record. He congratulated Zambia during the COVID time. And Zambia did very well to manage the COVID issues and the economy hand in hand, while other countries collapsed their economy. But right now, the new dawn is the same because of Ukraine. We are far away from Ukraine. The European countries that are suffering the economical affected by the Ukraine and Russia's...
But there are supplies of oil, Mr. Mutare. There are supplies of oil, among other things, wheat.
Zambia gets oil from the Middle East. Don't be mistaken. Zambia gets oil from Middle East.
But there's the international oil prices.
There is international oil prices. How big can it reach us? We're in the Middle East. South Africa, Zambia, they order oil from the same source, same market. Let's face that.
But that's part of the international.
That's what I'm saying. And we cannot use as an excuse. I can tell you, Britain has gone to negotiate with the Middle East to look at how they can engage to negotiate. They were getting from Russia, Britain, they're getting oil from Russia. But now, the Prime Minister has gone to look at the other sources in the Middle East. He was in Saudi Arabia recently. You saw him negotiating there with the prince, okay? But Zambia has not gone to change the route. Zambia is still getting the oil from the Middle East. What has changed? We need to face the reality and stop lying to the people of Zambia. The life in Zambia is so hard. So hard. It's not a joke, okay? The economy in Zambia, is a non-starter to discuss the issue of the economy. It's a non-starter. Don't bring the issue of Russia and Ukraine into our national. We are far away to get closer to that. Let's narrow down to our domestic affairs in Zambia. We are far away. And I can tell you now what has been promised from where I'm sitting, what has been promised on the ground. It is still remaining in the press briefing. We are going to, you are not going to do. I want to remind the new dawn, you are not campaigning. You are now in the driving seat. We, the people of Zambia, we want to receive what we are promised. Because Zambians themselves, sorry, they are really embarrassed to look at what they were campaigning for and what they were hoping for. What is happening right now? It's not what they're expecting. It has not started. And if you ask me, has the Zambian...
Free education has started, Mr. Mutare. Free education has started, Mr. Mutare.
Say again?
Free education has started.
Free education has started. Look into it, what was he promised. Is it what he promised that free education will be what it has been meant? I have seen all the user students, their mouth is closed. They don't even talk, they don't even know where to start from. I have got contact with the University of Zambia every day now and then. We communicate. I'm not just sitting. We are doing counter check on what the new Dawn has promised. We want to congratulate them on what they have done. If you ask me from where I'm sitting here, it is still vividly, my sister, my brother. Still vividly. Okay? It's still vivid. We have not moved an inch. Let's look at what the state of affair is right now. Compare what the PF has done. PF has delivered the infrastructure, and it had also expired drugs that were discovered. We left this infrastructure to the new Dawn. The new Dawn has got infrastructure. Now they can't even order the drugs. People are dying in Zambia because lack of drugs in the hospitals. I listened to one of our a friend in Zambia. He sent me a message and he calls me to say, you know, prescription that he texted me, that came from UTH, the prescription, it was on a cardboard. You know the cardboard?
Yes.
Okay? With a stamp on. You know a stamp, a hospital stamp?
Yes.
A cardboard, please, a cardboard. Just a cardboard, write something, then stamp on that. It's not a hospital stationery. That says a lot.
Mr. Mutare, you sincere, where at UTH those things were in order? Where is the cardboard? Are you able to show the cardboard so that we go and counter ask?
I'm not here to embarrass, but the thing that he sent me, I asked myself, where are we going with this? And this is simple medicine that we are talking, simple medicine. What I'm saying to you is that our health facility system, our health institution, it is the oxygen of the country. Doctors have gone in to raise their concerns about our medical in our institutions. It's not there. But we have, as a PF, we have left infrastructure. And those infrastructure were well managed. And they were also well looked after in terms of the medical supply. You understand? But now, that's what we are looking for. It will take a while. If they have to look into that, go back to the drawing board, look at what the PF was doing, enhance it a little bit, not to drop the whole standard. No. That cannot look good on us to say, no, our new Dawn is working. What is not right? We need to say it is not right. The health institution has collapsed in our country. Let's face that.
What are the parameters are using to determine the collapsing?
From where you are sitting as a journalist, don't be a journalist who just goes and checks the politicians where they are sitting and they start gossiping on each and every politician, whatever is saying. No, go on the ground, listen to the people, and go to where things are happening. Look at the improvement. You can't say the hospitals improved and so on. You know, the reality must be seen on the ground.
Mr. Mutare, it took the PF government 10 years, over 10 years. And are you being realistic to call for a drastic changes in 7 months? Are you being sincere?
You see, my brother, every government has got a ministry, and every ministry has got a minister. You understand? Each ministry is driven independently and reporting to the higher authority on what they are doing. But the PF was working. You can't say PF has been in government for 10 years. But you cannot compare.
Did you construct a hospital in 7 months, Mr. Mutare? Did you construct that infrastructure? Was it done in 7 months, that infrastructure that you were talking about?
No. Here's the thing. We took over from MMD. PF did not start those projects. I want you to understand that. PF didn't start those projects. PF took over, you understand, from MMD. MMD had already projects in place that were running. But because of being a Zambian, okay, and also we had one motto, okay, to develop. We took over from the past government. We can't say we start our own. No, we took over and we continued to implement. That's what the government is. Now the new dawn wants to start something of their own out of the air, to start making things that work. It won't happen that way. The first thing that you should also understand is that when PF came into power, it had to look at the alliance to work with. The alliance to work with were there already, which were the Chinese. The Chinese were already on the ground, okay, on the ground. But need to look at it, how can we enhance this relationship going forward? Because it is not for the benefit of the party, it's for the benefit of the people of Zambia. And the relationship between China and PF has been scandalized that the PF, they have failed to pay the contractor, the Chinese, and the Chinese are taking over this industry. The Chinese are taking over that company and that company so that they can recoup their money and so on. But the PF, under the carpet, they were discussing with the Chinese allies. That's why you could see all those projects were running through. It's a country of negotiations. We do not have to go to demand that we got our own money. Every business has to find a strategy. You understand? Mm-hmm. We have done what we could have done to the people of Zambia. And the people of Zambia, I want to say, we need to start learning to appreciate, to say, you know what, thank you, PF, for what you have done. Thank you, PF, for what you have achieved. And you want to continue saying the same. In the New Dawn, we are also going to say, New Dawn, thank you for what you have done. But we are yet to see, because we have not seen. We are yet to see.
Interesting.
Right,
well,
Mr. Mutale, as we draw to a conclusion of this interview, is there hope for the UPND to work on the campaign promises, looking at how you have come out? Obviously, you have little hope, though. But do we have something that we can hold on to that they've done that we can point at and say, okay, in these 7 months, this is a better thing that they've done?
Look, I think what I would want to say is this message I want to send it to our president now, President Jire Mahalainde. He is the president of the Republic of Zambia, a sitting state president. He needs to narrow down and move from where he is to go down to the grassroots and have a conversation with the ground. Do not talk about the IMF. You know, the people on the ground, they're even asking, what is IMF? There's no single country in Africa that has built its economy at the backbone of IMF. Yes, we understand IMF is what is the only way we can look up to. But our domestic economy needs to be attended to. We need to be proud Zambians. When an international hand has come in, let the hand come in to contribute to what is there already, not to wait for IMF for us to start. Only that one is going to take a long time. We will not make it. We need to focus. President Mahalainde need to come down to the ground, to the people, and start working with the people. Let us understand the level of the language of the people on the ground. I'll be honest with you. People are still waiting to say, when will this happen? When will it is happening now? It's only that we have got different tones in our performance and actions. The new government, if they think being into power now, taking the power, they have arrived. They are inside, but they have not arrived. Neither have they started working. Because they need to start now working with the people to understand what is happening on the ground. Listen to the people. If you from where I'm sitting here, you ask me, their hope is very little. But we need to put more hope to the people. If you go to the poor today, if you go back to the poor to say, let us look at what we did. If it will give us, trust me, in 7 months, the new dawn will be out of the office. Because the people there now say, it's not what we wanted. We are going haywire. Come back to the people and work with the people.
Lastly, Mr. Mutale. Last, Mr. Mtale, we know that the PF, this is your concluding remarks. They gave us an update during the previous briefing where the convention preparations have advanced and that those wishing to contest are free, like yourselves, and others say, even categorically say that others opt to be quiet until probably the date is set. Then others are already doing like you are doing. We have seen a number of your contenders for the job as president of the Patriotic Front. Do you still have that same confidence, Mr. Mutare, that you can liberate the PF in terms of taking its place as the largest opposition political party and remaining a force in the political fraternity?
Thank you very much. And I think that part is very important, which need to be adhered by all the Patriotic Front members and also the people of Zambia. You need to understand that Patriotic Front is the largest political party which is now in the opposition. And this party, it has got a large numbers of members that actually are still loyal to the party. Now, when we look at going into the convention, we just, in 7 months ago, we were in power, now we are in the opposition, and now we are running to say, we go to the convention and choose the leaders and so on. If you ask me from where I'm seated here, we are not yet ready to speak about the convention. When you look at the state of affairs in our party, we need our house to be cleaned. We need our house to look from the grassroots. We start on the grassroots to start looking after the party. Because our party now is we don't know what is happening in our branches, in our provinces, the district. We are only focused. It's like Lusaka is the center of our party, and the happening is only happening on to the top. We are not ready to go for the convention. We need to bring the people together, and we need to rebuild the party. Put the strength into the party. Anyone can contest. It's not a race that we have to fight for. We are all members, all right? We are all members. But we want what is good for the party and we want what is good for the people of Zambia and all the supporters of Patriotic Front. Where Patriotic Front has gone wrong, where Patriotic Front has done good, let us sit down and debate that together so that we can reaffirm the future of our party. We reaffirm Russia going to the top. You know, it's very embarrassing at the state where we are now, everyone is voicing his own way. Who's got the biggest insult? Who's got the biggest voice? Who's got the biggest support? It's not that. We are going for not for quantity. We need to go for quality. You know, if we have to look at that, everyone is welcome as it stands. We are a democratic society. No one is bad, including our president. If you want to come in, he can come in. Nothing can stop him. We are a democratic society. He's a Zambian. He's a Patriotic Front members. But we need to go back to our drawing board to bring almost everybody on the table so that the party can move as one uniform. No one is left behind. There is hope. And I can tell you, and everybody like PF is going to make it, and it will come back.
All right, Mr. Mutale, indeed, the Patriotic Front is not a superstition. It's a political party.
that has the political party led by the people and also supported by the people. Any party in Zambia, its success depends on the people. PF never lied to the people. Never lied.
All right.
To get that straight. We never lied in our campaigns.
All right, Mr. Mutale, thank you so much, as usual, for gracing our screens. Wow, I love that sip. But anyways, thank you so much for gracing our screens. We will surely call on you soon to continue these conversations regarding the Patriotic Front and Zambia's developmental trajectory.
Thank you very much.
All right.
As we move on in our democratic society, we must remember one thing. People comes first. People comes first, not the office. The power comes with the office. Let's remember that. The power comes with the office. When you leave the office, you leave without the power. And the glass you are using in that office remain in that office to be taken up by the next leader in that office. Let us not forget that.
Thank you, Mr. Mtali.
For every Zambian.
Thank you,
All
Mr.
right,
Mtali.
Mr. Mtali, thank you so much for gracing our screens. Good morning to you.
Thank you very much and good morning, Sharon. Patrick.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Superstition.
There you have it. You gave us some new terms, Sharon.
I wonder what book he was reading. He's come up with a lot of catchphrases, you know.
Yeah.
Catch and release.
Catch and release.
Superstition. What other one is that? But anyways, this has been the Camnet breakfast. We are also winding up. Obviously, we've eaten up into another minute of our time. Of course, we had various discussions with Mr. Mtali, and before that, we were in conversation with Bruce Joma on a segment that was sponsored by the Operation Young Vote. We also zoomed into some of the stories that made headlines yesterday, including the issue of drugs and also the education part, where the case says the free education policy is compromising the quality of education due to the fact that most schools have over-enrolled while government has not released any resources regarding the procurement of desks as well as the enrollment of more teachers to reduce the teacher-pupil ratio. Patrick?
Interesting segments we had there, Sharon. And as usual, we'll continue to ensure that we deliver according to your satisfaction as our dear viewers. We value your contribution and your viewership. Until next time, when we come with another interesting episode tomorrow, where we continue to look at governance and policy on the Camnet Breakfast with me, Patrick Soko, and Sharon Kalimbula.
Good morning.